Hey, deserving listeners, the ultimatum. It's the end of the season. Let's see what happens.
And this experience has taught me that. I was just scared I was going to lose you. So, without further ado, she's Damari Brown.
Wow, I didn't expect that. He's proposing. So, yeah, I could absolutely see it working, particularly if they went to couples therapy. But I'd say that about any couple. So, you know, good for them.
Me to get to that point. I'm just not ready for it myself.
Okay, so it looks like April and Jake are breaking up, or at the very least he's telling her that he doesn't want to get married, but I think they're breaking up. And I will say that on the scale of things, in terms of breakups, this is a pretty healthy one. He is saying that he cares about her, he's sorry, he tried. He's not saying things like, it's all your fault, that sort of thing. So in terms of breakups, it's pretty good. Now, I would imagine that they would have to have other conversations that could help them to move on to the next phase. We tend to look at breakups as a one-shot conversation, but typically it's many conversations, and sometimes it can get a little messy. So I don't know if they're gonna have that or show it on the TV show.
2 tickets. Anywhere in the world. Me and you just living life. Would you like to go?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
All right, so Jake and Ray are going to be together, and they're going to date. Who knows if they're compatible long term, but they're willing to give it a shot. So that means that Ray and Zay aren't going to be together.
Oh my God.
Madeline Riley Bellatori, will you marry me?
Yes.
All right, so Madeline and Colby are engaged. I think that makes sense given, well, does it make sense? I think that they genuinely care about each other. I think that their conflicts were, I'm guessing, brief and big. And then in between, there were a lot of moments where there wasn't a lot of conflict, and we might not have seen a lot of those moments. I think that Madeline cares enough about him to overlook the kinds of criticisms or the things she doesn't like about him. I also think that and I've said this before, I think, that his issues aren't that he doesn't care, it's that he gets locked in on a certain point of view because he's terrified of recognizing even a small amount of blame on himself. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't learn from his mistakes. I don't know. I could see them working without therapy. I could see them working with therapy for sure. I could see them having conflicts that are along the lines of what we've seen. So, I don't know. I'm guessing we're not going to find out. But, yeah, I could see it working.
News, and we knew that it was a little baby girl, so we got you a
little something, something. Little something, something.
From the Ultimatum family to you.
Awesome.
I think you can just take the lid off.
Ruin the bow.
She loves presents. She likes tearing them up.
You guys.
That's awesome.
I mean, that is funny, actually. I like it when there's some self-awareness, and of course it's a trope on these I think that's the joke, right, that on these shows, Love is Blind included, where they always are drinking out of some sort of metal cups because everyone, I think, understands that they shoot over a long period of time and they edit it together however they want. And if the amount of liquid in the cup is jumping all over the place, then it reveals that it's heavily edited. And so there's all these non-see-through goblets and whatnot. I'm always thinking, why does it have to be metal? Because a metal wine glass does not sound pleasant. I think I'd rather drink wine out of a coffee mug than a metal anyway.
There are some things that we can't get past, like the kid thing. I want to have kids so bad. I've always seen myself as like, ultimately, I'm going to be a dad. I want kids more than anything. I'm absolutely not going to take that next step unless it comes with knowing that we're doing it to have a family.
All right, so they're providing a supercut of Nate talking in multiple instances about how much he wants to have kids. They're showing us a lot of clips that we didn't get to see in the show, so he talked about it a lot, which, you know, makes sense. And they're gonna ask him, how did you change your mind? I think watching all this supercut, you would think, is he lying? Is he deluding himself? You know, could be, but, you know, people do change their mind. I don't think that this somehow indicts him on a lie, so let's see what happens.
Boy or girl, boys or girls, kids in a family, like, I know that's a must for me. I want kids a lot. What happens whenever I'm like 36 years old and still don't have kids? It's like, now it's too late, like, I'm never gonna have kids? Kids.
I mean, I will say it makes it look like he talks about it a lot. On one hand, it makes sense because he is in a situation not only with his current partner, Lauren, but he's possibly thinking about dating other people at this phase and should lay that out. He should describe that pretty well. And I'm guessing a lot of other people were wanting to talk about that with him. Also, I think we understand that these shows will ask questions multiple times. Cast members will reach out to me and tell me their experience behind the scenes, and I don't know if this is happening right now, but a lot of times what people will report is that the producers will ask questions over and over and over again, trying to get different takes, trying to get different answers, different emotions, and then later on they sort of piece together whatever helps them tell a story. So that could be a reason why we're seeing a lot of different statements of him wanting kids. But I am curious what he'll say, because it was a pretty important thing for him, and it's not one of those things that you can usually change your mind about pretty quickly, but we did see him change his mind very quickly. So let's see what he says.
It's kids, children, dad, new wave dad. My want for kids hasn't changed.
Hey!
Yes, I want kids. Fuck. Give this man some kids.
Now, shout out to the editor on that. As a person who edits videos, I can tell you that that must have taken hours and hours and hours to find all those little clips, because there's piles and piles of footage, and you have to find every little clip where he is saying that and putting it together. So, you know, kudos to the editor.
She still wasn't quite ready yet, but you knew this was your person, so you proposed.
Let's remind ourselves of just how awkwardly tense that proposal was. Take a look.
I'm serious.
Wait, what?
I'm serious.
Wait, so they're showing us scenes that we didn't get during the season, which are pretty important. There's pros and cons to the Netflix style of reality TV. One of the pros is that it's very short and they don't have a lot of fluff. Like when I watch 90 Day Fiancé, there's all this like coming up next, and I always have to skip that, and there's a lot of scenes where you're thinking, well, this seems kind of drummed up. And on the Netflix shows, there doesn't seem to be as much of that. But the con is they go very fast. A pro and a con to that, because there are scenes, I'm guessing that if it were 90 Day Fiancé, they would absolutely like show us this because it's so interesting. And Nate is at, you know, prior to the commitment phase, after they were dating people for a while, right? Before they actually pair off with other people, Nate is saying to Madeline, I'm going to choose you. So he was saying that just before he proposed to Lauren. I'm going to take a guess and say that he was still playing the experiment. He was still participating in the experiment, but I'm going to guess that he, when faced with the reality that Colby or someone was going to be with Lauren for a few weeks, that freaked him out and it made him quickly change his mind. So, but let's see what happens.
Colby, are you ready to make a choice?
I choose Lauren.
I'm listening to Colby choose Lauren, and it's stressing me out. I don't trust Colby, and I don't know his intentions.
What? What do you mean you don't trust him and you don't know his intentions? I think everyone understands the intentions of the show, which is that you're dating someone else for a while and living with them and possibly having a romantic sexual experience with someone. I will say that it seemed like a lot of the people either agreed amongst themselves or just made choices to not really go. I thought we were going to see on the show, when they pair off, there was going to be a lot of serious dating, where the people, we did see that with at least one couple, right? But most of them, it seemed like there was either they immediately realized there was no chemistry, or they just didn't really put effort into it because they really just didn't want to ruin their original relationship. But anyway, so Nate is saying, I didn't trust Colby. I didn't trust his intentions. Maybe he means he thinks that Colby is going to manipulate Lauren, and that would pull Lauren away from him. That's a cognitive place that he lands on, but the foundation of it for Nate was a terror of losing Lauren, and also just not wanting to witness her being with someone else. I'm guessing that's more of the fundamental feeling he was having.
Lauren, are you ready to make a choice?
Yes, I am.
If Lauren chooses Colby and they end up living together for the 3 weeks, I'm shitting my pants.
Yeah, and I wonder, who knows, if Nate has some kind of trauma of losing a partner to someone else, or being a second-rate sibling in his family, or I don't know. It's possible that he has some sort of sensitivity around that, some sort of competition. I don't know. But now I will say that the show sets up this premise of pairing off with other people, but I think most people would react like Nate. I think his reaction is very common, I would imagine. You know, just you're dating someone, you're in love with someone, you have an issue of kids, but you have time to figure it out, and then you think it'll be a good idea to pair off and all that kind of stuff. But then when you're faced with the reality of it, you're just like, no. And it was, telling that we saw 2 of the couples actually forego that phase, because I think that's a very understandable reaction.
I'm not trying to do anyone up, but
What the fuck?
Lauren?
What the fuck?
What?
It is interesting that Nate, just a little bit before that, is professing his intention to be with Madeline, and then impulsively, because it seemed to me like this was not impulsive. It seemed planned out, but it's looking now like it absolutely was impulsive.
I've learned through this that I don't have a family without you. And as long as I spend the rest of my life with you, that's all I want. There was no one else that I could imagine myself being with besides you for the rest of my life.
Oh my
So
God.
Lauren, will you marry me?
And this lends itself to the hypothesis that he hadn't thought this through. If it was pre-planned, like the way it looked before, then that would point to a good possibility that he at least had a day or so to think about it and really wrestle with the possibility of having a future, of never having kids, and to come to a resolution around that. The way this makes it look is that in 2 or 3 seconds, this is a panic proposal, right?
You spend the rest of my life.
Absolutely. Like, yes, please.
If you are being honest with wanting to marry me, like, we still have to figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
if we have to get, like, a therapist to, like, figure this out, I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm always up for people going to therapy, for sure. But the decision to have kids, you could explore in therapy, and I've explored that with clients before, but it's not a problem between the 2 of them in terms of their communication or their attachment styles or something. It's really just a what do you want to do with your life sort of thing. Now, maybe they need a therapist to help them talk about it, but I don't know. I think she's been pretty sure and confident in her decision that she doesn't want to have kids. What I would recommend for the 2 of them, without knowing more information, is that he goes to a therapist and actually explores it in detail to make sure that it really is what he wants. Because Like if he came to me, then I would think it would be a good idea to really challenge him on, are you sure? If you did delude yourself, why would you be deluding yourself? You know, let's explore. Do you have a pattern of deluding yourself? Because if there was a pattern or if there was a risk there, then he should know that, because in all likelihood, eventually that's going to emerge and he's going to realize that he's been deluding himself. Having said that, could he have changed his mind? Absolutely. Maybe we'll get some more detail.
First time we ever talk to anyone is we're in love and we want to spend the rest of our lives with each other. The only thing is we're working out an issue with, do we want kids?
Are you still content with the idea that maybe kids will never happen for the two of you? Or has that changed at all?
What we said on there too is we wanted to actually work at it together.
I like how Lauren is still not being asked questions. I was frustrated with that during that scene. No one is asking, what do you think, Lauren? What's going on with you?
Wait, are they having kids or not?
Not yet.
Okay. No, we have agreed to have one for now.
Oh, okay. If she's okay with that, then that would work. I'm guessing for him, he's thinking, well, I wanted to have a lot of kids, but one kid would be enough. So they compromised.
It sounds like it worked for you guys. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
Alexis, you seemed very invested to know if they wanted to have babies.
I would love them to ask Lauren more along those lines. What was the decision making? How do you feel about that? Are you sure? Because that is a huge choice, not only for the rest of your life of raising a child, but also, you know, physically.
I'm surprised you figured out my password. That was a good one.
Cut.
And honestly, I remember we went to a therapist and she's like, if y'all are going through each other's phones, then you shouldn't be together. And I'm like, you're right. I need to trust this man and he needs to trust me.
All right, so hopefully the therapist didn't say something that definitively. This is an issue that I will sometimes worry about, that my clients will hear what I'm saying but not really hear it, or interpret it a certain way, or take something out of context and then just repeat these things as if I had said them. And I'm always worried, like, oh no. So who knows what the therapist really said, but at least the way that she interpreted it was that if you're looking through each other's phones, you shouldn't be together. No good therapist would ever say anything like that. No good therapist would ever say, because of this, you shouldn't be together, even in pretty extreme circumstances. What I would say, and what a lot of therapists would say, is that looking through each other's phones is a trust violation, and it's an indication that you are worried that you're going to lose your partner, and you're going to a solution to solve that problem that isn't functional. You should be more communicative, more vulnerable with each other. You should work on helping each other feel more secure in their relationship, so you don't feel the underlying feelings that result in the impulse to invade someone else's privacy like that. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.